This is Emily Samantha. She used to weigh 400 pounds and she was managed to lose over 200 pounds. Today I brought her to my channel to discuss about her weight loss journey. Let's get into it.
Hello.
She lost 200 pounds in
Like three years.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna hear about her story. How did she lose weight and how she's keeping it off. How did you get to? Well, you were 400 pounds, right?
Yeah.
How did you get?
Yeah. So basically, I was always overweight my whole life. I grew up always like the bigger kid, never being able to wear like regular clothing like other kids my age. Like it was constantly just like I just knew I was different, and that was just how it was, and there was no other way of really changing that, I thought. So it just became a thing, especially once I got in high school, and I really just had accepted that that was the body that I was supposed to be in. And my grandmother had passed away, and that's when I really started to really gain a lot of weight. Dealing with that traumatic loss, it's you really just start to eat your emotions, especially when that's something that you've done your whole life. And basically that led me down a really dark path of realizing that you're overweight at 400 pounds and there's really nothing you can do about it. And a lot of the time I feel like at that point it was ignorance, because I didn't know what to do, so I just did what I knew what to do, was just stop eating. So through that I developed a pretty bad eating disorder. I lost a lot of weight in like 3-4 months. I ended up getting really, really sick, and hearing the word anorexia at like 350 pounds made no sense. And I think with hearing that, I just completely went back into my eating habits of punishing myself with food. And I put myself right back to where I was. And that was the point where I was like, okay, something needs to change.
So what was the moment that made you wanted to make a change? The moment?
Yeah, so I remember I was working at McDonald's, and I'd worked with a coach before. I worked with her for like 2 days, and I went over my macros because I went to McDonald's and had a vanilla chai and a blueberry muffin, and I gave up, and I ghosted her. And I was working at McDonald's, and I remember that I had this like terrible back pain. Like I would just go on my break, and my days were consumed what I was going to eat when I got at work at 3 o'clock. I would just wait all day and like have like 4 meals when I got to work. And I remember like there was days and I just couldn't stand up on the floor. My back was hurting so bad. And one day it hit, like, this is like, I'm doing this. Like this is because I'm eating so much that like I literally can't stand up. And that, whatever it was in that moment, I literally went into the bathroom and I filled out an application to the same coach. And I was like, hey, like I know, like I literally ghosted you, but like I'm ready to like get my shit together. So that was like literally, I feel like in that moment there was something just like, you have to do something or you're going to lose it all.
So you hired your coach at the very beginning? Like,
Yeah.
how did you find her?
So I worked with her like previously when she had just kind of started her coaching business, Alicia Miles. I started working with her, and that was kind of when I just like, wasn't ready, and I just completely like ghosted her. So I love her so much now, and we laugh about it now, but at the time so when it came time for me to be serious, I knew that she was the only person I wanted to go with, because she like did everything she possibly ever could to like help me when I wasn't able to do it. So I knew that like she was the person I had to go to.
So you said you were on a fat diet to lose like 50 pounds?
Yeah, I had like done like diets and like things like throughout, but it was never consistent. Like it was always just like, don't eat, lose this amount of weight, gain it all back. And I have realized that I do have a body type where I can lose weight really fast, but I can also gain weight really fast. And that's been prominent through my whole life. So it's never been an issue for me to lose weight, but it's the sense of like, can I lose it and keep it off is like the hard part.
That's
right?
the hardest part,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All of us, like in an anorexia
Yes.
type of situation.
Yeah.
So what were you eating in that period?
nothing. So I
What's the like full day of eating in that period like?
Yeah, so basically, like, you know, if anybody who understands like eating disorders, it's really just like, it's a lot of mind games, and you know, it doesn't start by just like eating nothing. You really just like, it started off by like, okay, like I'm just gonna eat breakfast and lunch this day, and it's like, okay, maybe I don't need lunch, and I'm just gonna eat breakfast, and then it's like, okay, I'm only eating breakfast, and then
Were
it's
you
like,
tracking anything?
no, I
Yes,
didn't know
not eating.
anything. I didn't know anything. So it was just like, okay, like maybe like I'll just eat breakfast, and then okay, maybe instead of eating this whole sandwich for breakfast, I'll just eat a half, and it would just became a thing where at the end of the day you'd sit and be so proud of like, oh, I didn't eat anything today, and then you get all the attention from people because you lose weight so fast when you go from eating everything to nothing, right? Like, so you just feed on that attention that you get from people, right?
I used to do that too, like go on a fat diet, eating only like
Yeah.
1,000 calories, no carbs. But
Yeah.
it was.
And you don't
That's
really
very tough,
realize
and
like the
it
damage
beat you
that
up.
you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, it was one morning, I'll never ever forget this, and milk was my thing. I would drink milk. If I ever felt weak, I would go to milk. And there was one morning at like 3 a.m., I passed out in my kitchen drinking milk. And my parents woke up in the middle of the night, and I had been passed out on the floor, milk like poured all over me, like all over the floor. And that was the point where it was like, I didn't even realize I had a problem at that point, right? Like I thought I was okay. So that was the point where it was like, you have a problem, it's no longer a secret, like doctor's appointments, like look out. So then I had gotten through the doctor's appointments, realized that I had like done brain damage and damaged brain tissue. And that was the point where I got scared and blocked out everybody, dietitians, doctors, ignored everybody and just went into a hole of eating out of fear.
Oh, then you gain the weight.
Yeah, and I gained it all back. Yeah, all back and more. Yeah.
Back to 400.
Yeah.
So then you contacted a coach and started losing weight.
Yeah, because it was honestly such a joke for a while. Like, like Emily's hiring a coach. Like, you know, like it was just funny. Like I was wasting my money. I was literally just throwing away money because it was just like I wanted a coach to make it sound like I was doing something, but you know, I was like, no, this is different. This
Like wasted so much money in the past.
so
like,
much
you
money.
know,
The
get
juice
it
cleanses,
again,
the coaches, the
Gym
everything.
memberships,
Yeah, everything. So
Okay.
yeah.
Doing it again. Alright. And what was the first time you were getting into gym?
I actually was looking at my phone the other day, and I had been to the gym like, you know, countless times, which is like one or two things, like going in, sitting on the bike, going home. But like, I have a picture of my phone from January 2021, and it's a picture of me wearing a mask in my car, and it's captioned, "I'm gonna go do it." And that was me going and signing up for my gym membership. And I actually like, I didn't even know I had that picture till the other day. But that is the day that I signed up for the gym. And like, I wasn't consistent since then, probably not. Like, you know, I had times where I didn't, you know, go all the time. But since then, like January 2021, that's kind of like, since I've been.
So did you have any like gym anxiety or anything?
Oh my God, like so I, like growing up with like diagnosed anxiety, and like, you know, the gym was just like a whole other thing, especially going into the gym, literally knowing that you're the biggest person in the gym. Like you can tell yourself and be nice to yourself, but at the end of the day, you're the biggest person in the gym. And you know, it's hard, and not just that, it's hard to move. Like it's hard to move when you're that big, and you know, it doesn't feel good. So for me, what I did the whole time actually, and I filmed videos of every single set I would do. And because I would watch these girls on Instagram and be like, they just look so good doing the movements, and I look like so bad. I don't like how I look when I do the movements. So I would film videos of myself so I could like hold myself accountable in a way while I was doing the exercise and make sure I was actually working hard. And that was my way of like getting through the workouts and like helping my gym anxiety, because I was just like in my own little world, doing my own little thing. And that was really helpful too, yeah.
So how was your full day of eating back then? Like in college?
So when I started with my coach, obviously, you know, at that time I wasn't really eating much at all. So we started a reverse diet. So I actually started off eating like super, super low, because that's where like I was when I started with her. Essentially, like I was binging, but like my base calories was like, you know, I wasn't really eating much throughout the day. So we started super low, and then my calories eventually got to like 2,500, and I lost like 80 pounds when I was starting working with her through a reverse diet.
Nice.
I think it was like maybe a year. Yeah, I think it was about a year, because after we had lost like the first like 100 pounds, that's when we did like the transformation challenge in Newfoundland.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What was it?
That was like, so Newfoundland had a local transformation challenge, and I did like the transformation division.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was really cool. That was like my first experience of like getting on stage and like getting a taste of like the bodybuilding world. And when I did that show, that was like the introduction to be like, okay, like this is what I want to do. Yeah.
So how was that?
That was incredible. Like
Being on stage.
it was amazing. And you know, having the history I had, Alicia was super hesitant of like wanting to go through that prep, because we had basically just got to a point where I wasn't restricting. I was eating normally, I was having good habits, and then I was like, I threw in this idea of wanting to do a prep. So it was really scary, but she got on board, and the whole experience was amazing. It literally just like being able to realize how much control you actually have over your body and your mind, that whole experience of getting on stage and, you know, knowing that you work so hard for something and actually being able to show up and set out to do something, it's incredible. Yeah, that was incredible.
So next thing was that you have been dealing with binge eating your whole life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So once you get into diet, like how did you manage your cravings, like sugar cravings, like sour cravings and stuff?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, like, you know, like, I don't know, now I look back and I think a lot of my things were ignorance. And I think at the time, you know, I wasn't eating in a way that was setting me up not to binge. Like, I was restricting constantly, whether it was just like subconsciously or not. It was like, you know, you binge at night, you don't eat breakfast. But I had to actually get into the habit of eating my meals.
Yeah.
And so I think being able to eat regular meals and understand that I can't be hungry. Like, being hungry is a trigger for me.
Yeah.
And so when I started like trying to heal my relationship with food, it wasn't about like being hungry to lose weight. It was just about, you need to eat. And so I knew like hunger was a trigger. So, you know, it was no longer like, you can't push off your next meal. Like, you have to eat this meal, because that's going to set you up to binge if you don't. And that's the mindset I had. It was like, these meals are going to stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
So that
it
was,
comes from understanding even if you're craving like sugar and
yeah.
all that
And
stuff.
I think like, you know, eating the meals stopped a lot of my cravings, I think too, because
Yeah.
looking back, you know, a lot of my binging was because I was literally setting myself up for failure. I was literally setting myself up for failure. So I think the minute that my body was able to get fed, like what it wanted and what it needed, I was able to, you know, obviously there were still like binges and, you know, things like that going on, but I think having the actual nutrition made a big difference in like the binging.
So how much like carbs you eat? What type of
Like-
carbs did you eat? Like, did you eat a lot of rice?
I honestly, like, in the beginning, I ate anything. I was, for the first probably year and a half to 2 years, it was, if it fits my macros, it works. And that's how I did it. Like, I probably not until the last year, since I got into like the bodybuilding scene, I've actually been like a meal prepper, like this kind of thing. Like, it was very much like, if it fits my macros, I'll eat it. Like, I was very much like a frozen dinner, like a Subway. But if I was tracking, it was fitting my macros.
Within the calorie.
Yeah, but it was like within my calorie range. But, you know, obviously since my goals have shifted, now I have a different approach. But, you know, when people get mad at me all the time, but when your goal is just to gain control over food, like chicken breast over like whatever else doesn't really matter at that point. It's just about not eating like shit all the time, right? Like, it's just about like not stuffing your face.
Better to practice the moderation than like avoiding all the food groups, right?
Yeah, like my thing was I'd rather be able to eat I felt way better being able to eat a cheeseburger and just eat a cheeseburger than avoid that cheeseburger, because for me that was causing problems.
Yeah.
So I was just like, practice on eating the food and having control over the food.
And knowing what it has, how many calories,
Yeah.
how it affects your day and everything.
Exactly, yeah, and just like building knowledge around the food, right? And like feeling like educating yourself.
Were you taking any supplements?
No, I wasn't taking anything. No supplements, nothing.
Me too. Like, and also, when people have been asking, like, why did you take anything? Did you take any fat burn?
Yeah, and it's funny because literally for years I would go to the supplement store like every 6 months and be like, what's the best fat burner? And like I would always be that person that was spending so much money on supplements, but I didn't, when it actually came time for me to lose the weight, I didn't take anything. It was just.
After the weight loss, like, you have low skin?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think like my loose skin is mainly like my like abdomen area, and I feel like for the amount of weight I lost, like if I like look back and like, you know, in total it's been 255 pounds from like my stage weight I just competed at. So I guess for the amount of weight, I feel like in a sense like my skin has reacted pretty well for the amount of weight I've lost, I feel like, but I definitely do have, you know, a lot of loose skin. I did, you know, just do a competition, and that was kind of my baseline of like, okay, what do I need to get done as far as my loose skin? So yeah, I do have a lot of loose skin, just like on my like core, like my back area. Yeah.
Places where you had most of your fat, right?
Yeah, like my arms and my legs are like, my arms are like, you know, they're a little bit, but not too bad. Like my legs are like, you know.
So what do you do now to maintain?
Yeah, so I'm very much like, I always need to be chasing a goal. I'm very much a goal chaser. I love chasing something. I learned that about myself immediately after I did the transformation challenge. It was like constantly on to the next thing. So now it sounds weird saying that like I'm bodybuilding, but I guess I am. I guess that's what I'm doing. Yeah, like I just did a show like June past in bikini. So yeah, I guess right now I'm very much living like the bodybuilding lifestyle. I'm like a little bit over 6 weeks out from a summer shredding show, which is kind of a secret. I haven't really told anybody yet, but surprise. That's going to be happening in August. So that's like a transformation division. But just maintaining for me is just about, you know, having a goal right now. But when I'm not chasing a goal, it's about just living my life and feeling like I'm in control. Because the second I lose control, I lose it all.
So do you think that bodybuilding prep is healthy? What do you think about that?
Healthy? No.
In the depth of prep?
Healthy? No. I don't think it's healthy at all. I think that if you want to go into bodybuilding to chase a picture of health, I think that you are going into the wrong thing.
It's like a sport.
Yeah, it's definitely a sport, and I didn't really realize until how, you know, I was really like into prep, like, damn, like this is actually a sport, like this is hardcore. But I think like the prep is like, you know, one thing. But for me, it's the part that makes it like, I feel like the part that really sets out the people who can do it and the people who can't do it, just mentally, physically, whatever, is the post-show. The post-show is so hard, and I feel like that's the part where it's like so many people, whether you want to or not, it's like either sometimes mentally you just do it or you can't, right? And it's hard because when you have a background of binge eating and restricting, you really don't know what way that's gonna go, right? So healthy, no, but I think the mental gains that you get from doing that, and like sometimes I look at it in a way of like, I punished my body for so long, I deserve to do something that I want to do, regardless of, you know, what that looks like within reason. So yeah.
So you're a coach now, right? You train people?
Yeah, so I'm a coach now. I'm in the process of like building up my own coaching business. That's something that I knew I wanted to do because I know how much of an impact my coach made on my life. She literally, I tell her every time I talk to her, like she changed my entire life, and you know, I wouldn't be here without her. So, you know, I do coaching now, and it's really rewarding.
You're teaching your clients to way more like life.
Yeah, and it's really rewarding when you can talk to them and they know that you've been there. They know that you know how it feels to be where they are, and it's really special because I've had so many, you know, people talk to me, and it's like, you know, I reached out to you because I know you know how I'm feeling, and you know, it means a lot. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
So, tell me some differences you feel now after losing 200 pounds. do people treat you differently now?
Yes. Skinny privilege is real. That skinny privilege is a real thing, and it sucks, and it's really sad, but it's real. I like, you know, especially when you're in high school, like nobody cares about you when you're 400 pounds in high school. Like boys don't look at you, you don't get attention. You literally are invisible. You're just like an outlier, and
People staring at you, but
yeah, it was just, I was just the big girl. Like that was just me, and you know, I didn't make it any better like how I treated myself and how I talked to myself. But yeah, now that I've, you know, lost the weight, it's funny because yeah, all these people kind of come out of the woodworks. Like, you know, I went to high school with you. Where'd you come from? Like, why are you reaching out to me now? But you know, it's funny because I'm still the same person. I still have the same morals. I still have the same heart. Like, I just look different. Yeah, and that's different too. The way you present yourself. Like
consistently like achieving goals, like you build the confidence and
yeah, for sure.
vibe and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people say you change.
Yeah, but I think that like, you know, regardless, like one thing I've learned on this is like not to comment on people's bodies. Like if you can compliment somebody not on their looks, do that. Like because I know for me like that was like that could have like in the past been like a touchy subject. So just like I try not to comment on people's bodies, especially if I'm not at the gym. You know, just like you're like look at people's heart, right? If they're a good person, they're a good person, and you know, who cares what they look like at the end of the day? And they're doing they're doing the best they can.
So what do you think about the body positivity?
Like for what?
Like body positivity movement. What do you think about that? Like health and exercise.
Yeah, I mean that's like, I think like everyone needs to be happy in their body. I think that, you know, being happy in the body that you're in is very, very important. But I think there also comes a point where it's like, are you actually happy or are you lying to yourself? Because
scientifically it's not healthy.
Right, yeah, and I think there comes a point where it's like, I know for a long time I was lying to myself. You know, my weight doesn't affect how I move. My weight doesn't affect my life. Like, and I think that there needs to become a point where you actually get real with yourself and you just, you know, like, what is this? You know, am I actually at fault? Right.
So, one last question. So, what do you have to say if someone's struggling to lose weight or trying to start to lose weight? So, what's your advice?
My advice, and I you know, I always make sure people know is like, I quite literally still have to push myself every single day. You know that. It doesn't get easier. Like, it does, but it doesn't. Like, you can still go back and be the same person you were like 3 years ago if you really wanted to. Like, it's not that hard to slip back. So I always tell people, like, I'm still doing the thing, and just know that even the people that you see that you know, want to be so bad, they're still working so hard. So just...
There's no significant difference that what we did and what we do now.
Yeah, so I think for so long I always thought that, like, you know, people had a power over me or something, but literally you have it within you. You just need to find it. You just need to start. So whatever it is, just, you know, just start showing up. Just literally just go out and just start doing something that you want to do. Yeah, the days you don't want to do it, yeah, like just get out there and do it, because, you know, there's so many days I don't want to do it, but those days that you don't want to are the days that those days count twice. The hard days count twice. Yeah. If you don't want to do it, like those...
You might go there and hit a PR.
Yeah, like those days they count twice, because the mental gains you're getting from that, even if it's a shitty workout, like you're still, like, the mental strength you're getting from that is so worth it. And it does, like, it's a muscle. Discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets, right? So you just got to keep showing up. You just got to start, and you just got to keep showing up.
So, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Yeah.
Good conversation. So, how do people find you?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Recovery with Emily. So that's basically like my main, like, yeah. So that's my main like source of social media on my Instagram. So you can reach out there, follow me on there, all that stuff.
All right. That's it. Thank you for watching. All right, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
That was great.